Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Gundam video. Now, this is round two of the red purple CB versus my buddy Chris blue purple deck rush. Now, we are playing a best of three and also sideboard. 10 cards is our max on our sideboard. So I am siding 3 cards into my deck to just try to deal a little bit more with what probably what Chris has and things that came up. Now, just to give you a little heads up, I am adding into my deck 3 Giant Killings. Giant Killings is a very interesting card that can help on my turn 4, where my turn 4 is a little bit lower in the sense of how many cards I have in my turn 4. This now allows me to use it potentially to get rid of an unpaired Gundam. It can get rid of Mika paired with a Adept on top of that, because it's a 4 AP. There's a few ways that this helps me out. It also can get rid of a Rezel as well. So I found that that would be also a very good card to potentially have in this deck, specifically for against a blue purple player. Now, looking at the video that I posted last, a few people have caught some things that that Chris, had his cards out and exposed, but I wasn't honestly looking at during my turn. Honestly, I'm just focused on what I have in my cards and what I'm doing. You're gonna see a misplay eventually. I'll point it out to you guys, and I talked to Chris about it already, and explained what the misplay was. And when we get to it, you guys will see. But these videos are to inform, but also to make me a better player. And anyone else, just being able to duel it out with your friends is pretty cool too. So we got into our 5 cards. And like I said, we did throw in 3 Giant Killings. And I will leave in the description the deck list for my red-purple CB. I don't think it's worth to make another video on it. But I will say I do think that it's a nice deck to play if you enjoy CBs. So whatever was in my hand, I decided to mulligan. Now I am taking second. I decided to choose to take second. I think that this deck does a really good job at going seconds mostly. With the O Gundam with 2-1, I can drop immediately. Dropping Exia. If I go first, it doesn't hurt me as much, because again, having those 1 drops can help in between, like the turn 3s and the turn 4s. Being able to drop 2 units can also be very helpful, just to put some early board pressure onto the game as well. So we're gonna get the party started here. Now we are on a webcam, so we are playing against on a webcam, which is why you guys see the borders here specifically. So I'm asking Chris, how does he want me to cut it? He said cut it right in half, and then we go ahead and get our 6 cards to put into our shield area. So this is round 2, like we talked about, so we're going to get this started very soon. I wanted just to make sure we have an understanding of, this is just a friendly duel, and it's for me to learn more. I love playing CBs, but with GDO5 coming out, I will be playing CBs more often, but also playing with a Mobile G Fighter. I'm a huge fan of Mobile Fighter Gundam, G Gundam. That is probably my ultimate favorite series, but 00 is probably on my top 2 or top 3 favorite series. So we got a pound started for webcam, and it's tapped to my turn. And now I'll go ahead and tap for 1, which gives me the chance to go ahead and drop for O Gundam. Again, really solid opening for me, having that 1 drop immediately, so I can drop it, put a little bit of pressure. I don't always swing with it. I wait until I have something to break the base to go ahead and swing with it. I try not to quickly just drop something out there. And then my buddy Chris goes ahead and taps for 1 and drops a gem and passes turn. We do our resource draw and then draw for hand. We go ahead and tap for 1, it looks like here, and we drop the Virtue Gundam. This Virtue Gundam is very interesting because I'm going second. I can drop this without having to really worry about a ping to take out my Virtue, which allows me to again be able to go ahead and break the base and not worry about it. So he goes ahead and taps for 2 here specifically to go ahead and tap on my base. But like I said, because this is not a way for him to ping my side just yet, it makes it a little bit more tougher. But he drops a Jagan. Now, since there's 2 Earth Federations, he's able to drop a Jagan for 1 cost less, and then he passes his turn. Again, that by having blue purple, understanding how blue purple works, they can't ping before turn 4 most of the time on your opponent's side. So it allows me to go ahead and drop a virtue without worrying about it. So we do Exia, the red Exia, to go ahead and ping and hit the gym. That is the only unit I can go ahead, but again, taking something out on the field is very solid. We go ahead and swing and break the base here specifically, and then I'm contemplating what to do. It's hard to really tell when you're on a webcam what stats are what, so we have to ask each other some questions sometimes, and I'm asking, what is Jegan's stat line? I can't see it. Is a 2-3? Okay, I wasn't sure. If I swing with my old Gundam, I can hit for shield, but then he'll be able to take out my unit and still live, so I don't want that trade to happen. So we're going to pass on this because I don't want to swing just yet with the old Gundam. Yes, I can get rid of a shield, but it's not worth it just yet. If he rests my unit, then that's fine, but honestly, it's better for me to swing when I feel a little bit more that I can take something out, either a unit that's gotten really low, or I can use it to go ahead and swing and maybe finish a smaller unit or a token or something, like a Corsica token or something, the Toggies. Or a gun tank where I can live potentially. So that's the reason why I didn't swing with the O here specifically. Now it is turn 4. Now there will be a part where I believe when I look back at this video, I wanted to make sure I catch up on the videos and watch it before I kind of just just do what I wanted to, and just kind of wing it. He drops Angsha to get rid of my virtue, but I wanted to like watch back the video just to make sure I'm catching anything, and maybe I can bring it up beforehand. There is a time where I literally, for 2 minutes straight, am looking at my cards, trying to figure out what is the best move to do. And we're going to make sure we try to make it as quick as possible, or if not, make it entertaining. So he drops a Sword Impulse, I think that card is, where it comes out, it pings, and when it pings itself, it can rest 3 AP or less. So he decided to rest my old Gundam and then swing with the Jegan, which then allows him to take it out and still live by 1. So he was still able to, unfortunately, go ahead and take out my old Gundam without me having to have swung on there. I believe this is the turn where I start to contemplate what to do. There are a lot of things that I have in my hand, but I need to make sure I do things correctly. There are 4 units on that side. I don't have a base currently on right now, so I kind of need to make sure I do things correctly. So you're going to see me think about it and turn, and if we need to cut this out, we probably might cut this out, because there was a time where I was really thinking really hard, because this is when this becomes very, very important, because this is when the blue purple player can really dominate, not just by having so many cards on the field, but also making sure that it has taking most of my shields. I'm just asking how many cards he has, because I'm just wanted to see where we're at with cards. Is he getting ready to gas out by dropping all these other units, like seeing the Sword Impulse and the Jegans? Is he starting to gas out? Because he had a way to just, maybe if he had a show of resolve, he would have done that instead, but he decided to go ahead and drop 2 more bodies. So I'm trying to see what he's kind of doing right now. Like I said, this is probably where I am. Yeah, this is definitely the spot where I spent a lot of time thinking about what to do. I wish I could show you guys my hand, because I can give you a better idea of what was in my understanding in my mind, why I did certain things. But we have to clear the field or do something with the field so we don't have to worry about it as much. We can't focus on getting rid of the shield area. He has 4 cards in hands, so we do need to kind of control the board a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing and take out the weakened Jegan. I need to take care of that because it's important to kind of clear the board a little bit. I do giant killing here, and we get rid of the Angsha. So it allows me to get rid of the Angsha, and I got rid of the Angsha over the sword because the other one is hurt by 2. Oh, is hurt by one but has 2 HP. So we got rid of 2 units here specifically, and I was able to still drop 1 unit here. Now this is a very risky play because obviously, I can get pinged and then I'm done and I'm toast with that unit. But this was the perfect example of why those 1 drops can be very good in clutch without having to burn my EX. Now I have a unit on board that could potentially take out maybe a Jegan, or can take out another unit that he maybe brings out, maybe something else. But as you know, 1 HP doesn't last very long when you're dealing with a blue-purple player. So it is very risky to do something like this. But in my hand, I felt like I needed to clear the board. Giant killing definitely helped in this scenario. To just get rid of something active. So he goes ahead, and this is what we talk about. He does the first form with the Mika, pings my unit and also pings himself. He gets to draw and then swings, and that is a Transam on my shield. So he still has 2 resources left. So I'm trying to see what he's trying to do. And I'm asking how many cards in hand because he just drew from that. I want to just make sure I'm keeping a count on how many cards. So he decides to swing with his Jegan and hits a shield arrow for my Curios LR. That kind of sucks. Then he hits another one for the GN type blocker. So I'm seeing a lot of cards in the grave, so I'm just trying to count them out, those that are CBs, because we want to make sure that we keep our grave. And I believe I saw like 6 or 7 just there, which is the point of the red purple deck. The way I have it is specifically to be as consistent as possible, to drop like an Exia LR to be able to get the effect immediately. If it was out, it would have gotten the effect because of the milling of the 2. So I'm trying to make it consistent to be able to drop XCLR, drop Transam, and still have the effect on curve potentially. So he goes ahead and drops the base, a 6 HP base, which is very important for what I'm going to say. It is a 6 HP base, okay? So we go ahead and swing first strike with the Curios LR to get rid of the first form, and then draw. It is a CB card that I got, which I'm so excited because, again, that's why Hallelujah is amazing, because you can get a base to your hand. We dropped the Ptolemios, and with the Ptolemy, now he has to swing his units besides the Sword Impulse into my my Curios, or the base doesn't take no damage. This is, again, really, really solid. I think I had Curios before, but I didn't want to drop it earlier because I feel like Curios needs to make sure he takes out a unit, and I didn't want to drop it early. I believe that was my play earlier if I wanted to do something like that. But I really wanted to, get it on a Gundam, get it on a first form or an Adept, and not worry about it. In this scenario, we got it on the first form, which is, again, pretty solid. But as you see, I can't be so happy because I have 1 base and only 2 shields left. So I asked Chris if he don't mind bringing it down because it's really tough to see what level they are. And I'm wondering because I don't know Jegan, but it is a 3/2 so that it cannot hit the base. I'm just clarifying because I wanted to just make sure, but Sword Impulse can. So he decides to drop Gundam. Now with the Gundam, instead of taking himself out as well, he decides to break the base, swings for shield, and he's just going in, and then boom, I hit a Trinity Warship, which gives me 1 card to hand, and he can't, unfortunately, potentially do anything else besides maybe break it. He decides to armor array this unit, which was something that I wasn't sure why he did that, but he wanted to make sure he takes out the base. It is 4 plus the Gundam makes it a 5 AP, so he's able to break the base, and now that puts him in lethal territory here specifically. So it makes it really, really tough to kind of deal with what we have going on here. So we go ahead and draw, and we are currently right now at 7, which, again, very important. What we're trying to do here specifically here, 7 with the EX resource. There are a few plays that we have, and we just want to make sure we do everything we can to do what we need to do to take care of the board. He has 2 cards left. We gotta hope that it's not a link because he can take it out. I asked him how many cards. There's 2. Okay, perfect. And I think what we decide to do here is we decide to potentially swing just to see what we get first. So we go ahead and swing and take out his grandpa. This allows me to draw, and most of my deck is all CB cards, pretty much, besides 3 Giant Killings, which we already saw one. So 2 cards, there's a high likely chance I'm going to get a CB card. So we go ahead and get the Red Exia. Now, unfortunately, I cannot ping anything, unfortunately, with the Red Exia. So we're trying to figure out what we can do here specifically to kind of control the board as best as we can potentially here. So I decided to... I believe because that Red Exia came to my hand, it forces me to do something different, which I think my play was potentially to drop Trans Am if I had it or something, because I was like, I really wanted to use all my resources to kind of like do something else, but because I can't finish what I want to finish, I have to do something differently. So we're going to, I think, tap for 2, and I think we're going to bring out the Red Exia. And I believe the reason for that is because I have Setsuna in my hand. So we're going to go ahead and tap for 1. Yep, tap for 1. And put the pilot so we can link it. And we get the Setsuna on there. Now, I don't like to do this, but I do need to clear the board and get rid of his units. So with that being said, this allows me to go ahead and get rid of the Jegan, take that unit out. So I personally see this as a whatchamacallit, a 1-for-1 in a sense, because he had a unit with a pilot and I had a unit with a pilot, so it's not a bad play. But here we're able to get our hand on another base that we had, and then we're able to drop the base to protect us and then drop the blocker. The blocker is the part that I like the most, because honestly, more towards the end game, the blocker becomes very, very clutch when holding things down for sure. So I decided to tap 1 and put the put the Hallelujah onto the whatchamacallit, the blocker, because now it becomes a 5/4, and if it decides to swing, I have a chance to potentially block and take out whatever unit decides to block. But because it's a 3 AP Sword Impulse, I would definitely die. So I had to make sure that I live if he decided to swing, because I want to make sure my base stays alive. He decides to ping and drop 2 Anxas and also drop the gym as well. With that, he doesn't have a way to obviously clear the base, so he now passes his turn. Now, with this being said, when I see a blue purple player decide to commit to the board by dropping pretty much everything on the board, this allows me to do plays like this, where we drop for an O Gundam, which again, I love dropping the 1/1s now, or the 2/1s, because, or I guess anything that has a 1 cost, because it becomes really great when you do plays like this. We drop the Eins. The Eins here is able to turn sideways the O Gundam and also turn the Curios, leaving my blocker up to be able to do 2 damage to everything on the board. By doing 2 damage, I'm able to get rid of 2 of his units, and then the other 2 units that he has on board can clear the base, but he has no cards in his hand. So he'd be able to clear the base, but again, I do have a blocker, so that allows me to take care of that if he decides to try to go after the base. So clearing the board, really, really solid. I had Eyes, I believe, in my hand, and I wanted to potentially do that, but I wanted to have him commit the board. So we decided to drop the pilot onto the old Gundam, just in case somehow he gets into a Gundam that can potentially repair or something to allow him to survive. So I wanted to make sure whatever he decides to get, that it won't unfortunately just take out my old Gundam. It has to take 4 AP. So in this scenario, we're trying to figure out what he wants to do specifically. Here, again, I have a blocker, I have 1 blocker, and I have 4 units. So now I'm starting to have a little bit more board control, but it only takes 1 Armor Ray to make a big difference into one of these duels. So he asked me how many cards I have in my hand. I told him I have none. We're all jazz hands specifically here. And now we go ahead and pass back to me. Now, when it comes to this is where I believe the misplay is here specifically. So I haven't really dealt with this base, so I decided to swing the base with 5 AP, and we break the base, and then we both draw. But in reality, that base is 6 HP, so that base should not have died. The reason why I wanted to do that was just to see what we draw. It gives him the draw, which is fine, but now I wanted to just be able to clear the board, at least break the base. I didn't really want to do a lot of swinging. You're gonna see I'm only swinging just to test the waters, and he got an armor array. So I'm like, okay, I can't let that go through. We're gonna go ahead and draw and drop the blocker. And I believe this is what we ended up having on our initial draw. And then when we drew from the base, we got the virtue here specifically, just to be able to present a little bit more lethal. On him. Now we have 2 blockers, so even if he armor arrays, he can only block one of the hits. So I'm a little concerned now what he decides to do. If he gets Gundam, I am screwed. So I'm trying to see what we're going to do here. And again, this is what in my purple red CB deck, we talked about this briefly. When it comes to like a bigger event, I tend to just keep quiet about the base. You know, and I wouldn't say intentionally, but I just put the cards out and I tell you what the cards do. So he decides to swing at the base with the Anksha. The Anksha can hit it because it's level 4 or higher. So he decides to here try to figure out what he wanted to do. But this is what I was talking about. When it comes to this card, a lot of people don't read it, or they forget, or they don't understand it. In this scenario, we are playing a tournament, so it is a friendly tournament, but at the same time, me and Chris play with each other, and he does know what that base, he forgets what the base does. So he decides to swing with the Rizal and hit the base. So I said, okay, that's fine. And he could go ahead, and we're waiting a little bit. And then it wasn't until a few seconds later, after nothing's happening, that he realizes that because there is rested CBs on the field, nothing level 3 or lower except tokens does damage to the base. So it allows me to live with the base, keeping the base up, forcing him to do another play. So he's thinking about it. He's like, well, he's wondering why nothing's happening here. I did say swing to base, and then he starts to realize, oh, that's that base. Now we did have a judge in our Discord watching and also ask what happened. But again, this base is very important to understand that if it's rested CBs, it takes no damage from 3 or less AP. Or level 3 or less. So that's very important when it comes to it. So once he realizes that it unfortunately he did not break the base, it really puts him in a bind now, because now he has to do something different, which he had probably plays that he could have done. Instead, he said he had another option, but we forced him to potentially do something else, which he was not very enthusiastic about, because now really changes his plan when it comes to this. But again, in a new type situation, in a regionals, it's very important that you do read the card. The card can be targeted, it just takes no damage. In the locals games, I will definitely tell people, especially people who hasn't played against me, I play purple CBs all the time. So people know about the base when they play against me. But if people who don't know, or don't play with me against me, or don't, hey, you know, I let the one attack, I'm going to stop the other attacks, but just to let you know, the one attack, you're not going to go through, because unfortunately, but the other ones, I just want to make sure so you don't keep swinging. So I do try to be very friendly in my locals when it comes to it, but at the same time, again, higher tier events, I could definitely see more, like, at least with the new types, I just kind of like, all right, and then might have to bring a judge out or something like that. But again, that's why it's important to understand what you're playing, the cards. You can ask your opponent, you can do whatever you want, but it is your responsibility to understand the card. So if you don't understand the base, or you don't understand the card, what does the card do? And if I don't explain it, then it's up to you. And a lot of times when people ask what does it do, I give them the card, or I try to summarize it. So he decides to adapt here, and he pings, I believe, the 3/1 virtue just to get it off the field. So again, this presents a problem for him, because again, he could not I don't know if he had a link. Actually, the more I think about it, I don't know if he had a link. Yeah, I'm not too sure if he had a link here, but all I know is the 2 blockers, I would have waited until he was about to break the base. So yeah, he didn't have a link. He only had Adept and Rizal and Armor Ray, the Ray that we hit on the shields. So with that being said, I realized that we now have to present and go in now, because he has me dead to rights on one more turn. So now it is my turn, and I'm going to have to go in and take out the shields and hope that we don't hit a base. But even if we did hit a base, all my units besides one, which is the O Gundam, is 5 AP, 5 AP or less. So it's very important. I do decide to swing with the smaller units, and I say, can you clarify how many shields you have? You have 4, and I have 5 units. So even if you hit a base, I should be able to break it. So we go ahead and swing. He has first form, decide to hit with the Eins. I hit Adept. Okay, now I'm gonna have to swing with either a blocker or something else. So I decided to, I think, hit with a blocker here. Now I know my Kyrios is strong enough to break any base now at this point. Decided to swing. I'm like, okay, I think we have to go here. If he has a base, he just wins now. And there is no base, so that allows me to go ahead and swing with my Kyrios to finish the game here. Like I said, we talked about it briefly about the base. The base is important to understand. It is annoying to deal with. That is the only way that really helps me slow down against a blue-purple player, or any aggro on top of the Exia, and also the purple Exia to pop tokens as well. But that's pretty much it. Round 2 is in the books. Now we're going to go into round 3, and that will be coming up very, very soon.